So everyone knows this session is being recorded and will be posted to our website shortly after the presentation. So if you're coming in a little bit late, don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. You'll be able to catch it a little bit later. Today we're here to talk about education abroad opportunities in the region of Oceania. This includes Australia, New Zealand, South Pacific Islands. My name is Drew Doty. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm an education abroad coordinator and I regionally advise for Oceania. Joining me today is my wonderful colleague, Vanessa Hayward. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, Drew. It is great to be with you all today. My name is Vanessa Hayward. I'm a senior education abroad coordinator here at CSU. Thanks for joining us. And I'll pass the baton over to Marshall.
Hi all, I'm Marshall Frazier. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Agricultural and Resource Economics and have had pretty extensive experience with the Lincoln program in New Zealand. So be here to answer questions about that and most of that corner of the world.
Thank you so much, Marshall. We're excited to have you talk to us today about Lincoln University. For those of you who are just now joining us, please, as participants, you're actually not able to access your webcam or microphone. So as we progress through the session, if you have any questions that come up, please use the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen. Just type them in. I'll be stopping periodically throughout the presentation to answer questions. And Vanessa is also able to send you a response through the chat box live if it's something pretty easy. Otherwise, we're excited to have you all here today. Let's dive in. So at this point, you've obviously had some interest in studying abroad, at least somewhere in the world. And I think Marshall and Vanessa would probably back me up in saying that an education abroad experience is one of the most unique and profound experiences that you'll have in your entire life. It's something that will influence your career, where you choose to go after your undergraduate program. It's something that will influence the way you think almost every day of your life thereafter. And there is no trip or vacation or even a work trip that could ever compare to what an education abroad experience is like. So today we're going to talk about Oceania and the programs that are available through CSU in this region. As I mentioned before, this includes Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific Islands. I'll get into some more program-specific information a little bit later, but I wanted to stop for a moment just to talk about some of the unique things that make Oceania special. First being, it's located in the Southern Hemisphere, all of our programs in this region, which means that the terms are going to be switched from what you're used to here at CSU. So if you're wanting to study in the fall term at CSU, you're actually going to be going in what is generally considered spring in Oceania. And likewise, if you're studying in the spring semester at CSU, that's actually their fall semester. So one thing to consider is that you're going to have probably a longer break on either end of your program. And that's going to be opposite of what you would expect from here at CSU. Most of our programs in this region are English speaking. So if you have any hesitations about knowing a foreign language, you can check that one off your list. All of our programs in this region are taught in English, and the countries for the most part are all English speaking as well. For those who are really interested in traveling around Southeast Asia, very close access to the region. You can get quite cheap flights from both Australia and New Zealand. If we have any students who are joining us who use GI Bill benefits to fund their studies, we have several programs in this region where you can actually use your GI Bill benefits abroad. Also is a great region for STEM majors. I'll go into some of the specific programs around that later, but we've found that engineering students, natural sciences, agricultural science students all find a plethora of programs in this region as well. And on that note, this region is known for its outdoor natural wonders. Whereas Europe may be known for its stunning historical architecture and cathedrals, Oceania is known for its wilderness and the outdoor playground. So if you're someone who loves nature, this may be a region for you to seriously consider. All right. In this region, we have 53 programs at CSU that you can choose from. Now, I don't have time today to go through all 53 programs, so I'm just going to highlight a few. But of those 53, like I've said before, you can study in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, or Samoa. We have 5 CSU exchange programs, which means we send students to an institution in Oceania, and then they send us students back. These exchange programs are really great for our GI Bill benefit students as well as STEM majors. And then we also have 48 affiliate programs. Now, affiliate program is different from an exchange in that you will work with a third-party company that's actually going to help facilitate your program. There's a lot of different program models within affiliates, and our affiliate partners are incredible. If you have any questions after this presentation about specific program offerings in our region, please feel free to make an appointment with me online, and I'll be more than happy to dive into the details with you. All right. So for today, here's a few of the programs I wanted to highlight. We have down here with these gray kind of the gray markers, these are all of our CSU exchange program offerings. Starting in Australia, we have Macquarie University. This is located just outside of Sydney. Over to the southwest, we have the University of South Australia, located in Adelaide, which is the capital of South Australia. Off the southern coast, on the island state of Tasmania, we have University of Tasmania. This is located in the capital, Hobart. Moving over to New Zealand, we have Massey University. This is located on the North Island. Really unique. They have 3 campuses located throughout the island. On the southern island, we have Lincoln University, just outside of Christchurch. We're going to talk about all of these programs in a little more detail here in a moment. I just wanted to give you kind of a visual map of where these programs are located. Then we have 2 others. You can see ISA, International Studies Abroad in Suva, Fiji, and then our SIT program in Samoa. I mention these specifically because we have actually a very low number of students who attend these programs each year. And I actually think that this is because students don't realize that they are actually able to study abroad in these locations. So I bring them up just so that you know Oceania is much more than Australia and New Zealand. All right, I'm going to pause here for a moment to see if we have any questions.
Drew, so far we have no questions in the Q&A, but
Right.
just a message to all our participants, if you have any questions that come up while Drew is speaking, feel free to type them into the Q&A and I'll answer them if I can, or we'll save them to the end for Drew to answer them.
Thanks so much, Vanessa. All right, I'm going to move on. I'd like to highlight Macquarie University is the first program. This is, again, located just outside of Sydney, Australia. It is the largest university in this region. Great for all majors looking to study abroad. If you're really passionate about going to Sydney, this is an incredible program for you. The campus is known for its large green spaces. Sydney itself is kind of comparable to LA in the United States, in that it's this huge multicultural hub, vibrant with the arts. If you're interested in studying here, this is an exchange program and it is GI Bill benefit approved. Again, most students of all majors across CSU should be able to find coursework here, with the exception of maybe some engineering students and maybe some specific science students as well. But don't worry, we have some other options for you. Moving on, the next program I want to talk about, the University of South Australia. So If you refer back to the map that I showed you previously, this is just southwest of Sydney in the city of Adelaide, Australia. Whereas Sydney is this huge multicultural hub similar to LA. Adelaide is where students often report having more of an Australian experience. They feel like they get to really know Australian culture here. This program is great for STEM majors, students in engineering, biological science, pre-med, the list goes on and on. This is a great STEM school for most of our students. A really unique thing about this campus is it is an urban campus. So rather than having one defined campus in the city, similar to how CSU has, University of South Australia has buildings throughout the city. So you could be taking coursework anywhere within the city. And their public transportation is amazing. It's called the 20-minute city because you can get to any part of town within 20 minutes generally. Moving on. The next and last program I'll mention in Australia is the University of Tasmania. Again, this is a very unique program of anywhere in the world, I would say, in that it's located in the island state of Tasmania, just off the southern coast. There are 2 campuses around Hobart, which is the capital. This is great for STEM majors, especially in the natural sciences, natural resources, agricultural sciences. This is an exchange program as well. And I like to say that geographically, it's kind of an in-between of New Zealand and Australia, and that you have huge mountains, tons of wilderness areas. It is definitely for the outdoor enthusiasts. If you're someone who resonates with that, please come talk to me about it, because this program is near and dear to my heart. And we would love to be sending more students to the University of Tasmania if we could. All right. I'm going to move on to New Zealand, where we'll first talk about Lincoln University. If you remember back to the map, this is on the southern island of New Zealand, often coined the Adventure Island. Lincoln University is located just outside of Christchurch. And this is a unique program. It's one of our oldest partnerships in the Education Abroad office, going back over 20 years. Every year we send a very large cohort of students in the spring semester who are actually joined by a CSU faculty member who lives in residence at Lincoln University for the whole spring semester and is there as an added resource, layer of support to you as a student for your time there. That professor won't be teaching courses, but really is there to help you throughout your journey in New Zealand as an added layer of support. Fortunate for us today, we have Dr. Marshall Fraser joining us, who was actually faculty in residence in 2004. And I'm going to let him talk about this program because he can do it far better than I can.
Yeah, thank you, Drew. Well, we could go on for way longer than we have available here, but I do want to echo what Drew pointed out about the tremendous opportunities for outdoor experiences. As he mentioned, I was there as faculty in residence in 2004. I'll actually be going again in spring of 22, so I'm looking forward to my time back there again with students. I've been there a number of times since 2004. Personally, I fell in love with the place while I was there, so it keeps drawing me back. I've worked with quite a number of students who have studied in this space. As Drew says, we typically are sending somewhere between 20 and 30 students every semester. I've been closely connected with those students. Kiwi culture, and this actually fits for most of Oceania, whether it's in Australia or the other places that Drew's talked about, is an incredibly open and accepting environment. And you're going to find the personal growth that you'll have in a study abroad in this corner of the world will be probably unlike most other places. The fact that they're mostly English language, close enough, and they're really very laid back in their cultures, very much about personal fulfillment. And you'll find you'll get challenged in ways that we think we know things. They'll question a lot. They'll ask you a lot about your experiences and so on. And it's not really to tear you down. They're just really genuinely interested. And so you'll have an opportunity for a lot of fulfillment. And again, being able to do it in such a beautiful outdoor space is what this corner of the world has to offer, whether you're in New Zealand, whether you're in Australia. It's just quite amazing. Lincoln University itself is relatively rural as far as its space, so you'll be very close to be able to get out and really experience quite a lot. It's just a tremendous experience. Again, if there's any of you here that would like to know more specifically about the Lincoln program, I invite you to send me an email. We can certainly set up a Zoom chat, and I'd be happy to visit with you at any point. Drew?
So much. Thanks so much, Marshall.
Drew, we do have some questions regarding Lincoln. Would you like to answer those now?
Sure, I'd be
Please.
happy to do that.
Okay.
So the program at Lincoln is available both semesters. So our spring semester, their fall, is when we send the faculty and residents typically. But you can, so that term runs basically from mid to late February through the end of June. Then the next term runs July through, I think it's mid-October or so. And you can, if you really are gung-ho, you can actually do both terms, set yourself up for a full year of New Zealand, and it won't be enough. So I will tell you that. But Gabby had asked the question about how COVID would affect this, and I'll fold that in. We've actually been talking quite a bit. We don't really know for sure. At this point, we're trying to set ourselves in a position that if borders open up and we can do it, my recommendation is put yourself in a position to be able to go next spring if you can. Be prepared that you may not be able to go until next spring. I think every semester that beyond next spring, we're more and more confident that opportunity will be there. And as Michaela asked, would it be possible to go for a whole year? It certainly would be. You go to the same institution, or you could split your time and go to different institutions. I'll sign off with my cheeky bit here. I would say I'm really quite partial to New Zealand, that any days in New Zealand or that you might choose to go spend over in Australia would be a day not in New Zealand, and that would be a sad day. So, Drew?
Thank you so much, Marshall.
Thank you, Marshall. Drew, we have one more question that came in, and the question is from Gabby. Are these programs able to get core credits?
Yes, Gabby, they are. So you'll want to meet with your academic advisor to know which specific courses you need to take during the semester or year that you plan to be abroad. And then from there, we have a credit transfer process. I'm happy to walk you through that in an advising appointment, but it's basically a way where you get your classes that you'll take abroad pre-approved by CSU to get credit in advance.
Thank you. That's all the questions for now.
Thanks so much. So the last thing I want to say about Lincoln University, for those of you who haven't seen it yet in a program search, this is an agricultural school, or excuse me, a school with deep agricultural history. It's going to be great for students in the College of Agricultural Science, as well as students from Warner College Natural Resources. And if you don't fit into either of those buckets, it may still yet be a good fit for you. Just kind of depends on the courses that you need to be taking while you're abroad. All right, I'm going to
have really a pretty good selection of general business courses too. So if you're a business major, you're going to find Lincoln will fit pretty well there too.
That's right. Thanks so much, Marshall. All right, I'm going to move on to the next program in New Zealand. This is Massey University. It's located on the North Island of New Zealand. Really unique about this school is that they have 3 campuses throughout the North Island. First one being in Auckland, which is the picture that you see here on this listing. They have another campus in the middle of the island called Palmerston North. It's actually their largest campus, has about 10,000 students. And then they have a third down in Wellington, which is another city on the southern coast of the North Island. This university is good for most majors at CSU, with the exception of some science degrees. Engineering may have a hard time finding coursework here. Or this is an exchange program, again, going to be great for students who are on GI Bill benefits, looking to go abroad. And you, as a student, actually choose the campus that you get to study at Massey University. All right, so the 5 programs that I just mentioned, those are all CSU exchange programs, meaning you're going to go study at a foreign institution, either in Australia or New Zealand. They're going to have a campus similar to CSU does. I thought it would be worthwhile from here to actually talk about 2 other types of programs that we offer in this region that are different. First one being our SIT, which stands for School for International Training, Social and Environmental Change in Samoa. Now, I'll make a caveat, SIT also has programs in Australia, so if you're not interested in going to the Samoan Islands, you can also study an SIT if this is the right type of program for you. They also have programs all over the world as well. This program in particular is very near and dear to my heart. I'm actually an alumni of SIT from about 10 years ago. I studied in Tanzania, however, it was the same program model that you'll experience anywhere in the world, including Samoa. What's really unique is that instead of choosing the courses that you'll take abroad, this is actually a fixed curriculum. And so there are 3 fixed courses that you can find listed on their website, all around the theme of the program, which in this case is social and environmental change. And then you have the opportunity to design your own independent study. It usually takes place over the last month and a half of the program. And this is entirely self-guided. You are free to make it whatever you want. We've had honors students in the past use this as kind of a precursor to their final thesis that they'll use in their program later once they get back to CSU. SIT, I point out, is unique. Again, has that fixed curriculum, but it's also entirely field-based learning. So rather than sitting in a formal classroom to take your courses, you're actually going to be out in the field learning. You'll be with the community. You'll have a homestay as a part of your experience. Very special type of program. And if you're interested in this, I'd be more than happy. I could go on, kind of like Marshall with Lincoln, I could go on for hours about SIT programs. So the next one that is somewhat similar to SIT is SFS. This stands for the School for Field Studies. Another non-traditional education abroad program in that you are almost never in a classroom. These are very similar to SIT in that you will be conducting your own research during them. However, what makes SFS unique is that it is entirely research-based. So those of you in the natural sciences, if you're looking for field research experience, this program is for you. The program I'm highlighting here is actually a summer term program. So for those of you who aren't able to go for a semester or who want to extend their semester abroad, this could be a really unique option. It actually has you starting in Australia on the north part of the continent. And then you, halfway through the term, you actually fly over to New Zealand where you finish it up. So, really unique programs. More than happy to talk with you about these in more detail in an advising appointment if you're interested. All right, I know we're coming up on time here, so I'm going to cruise through the next few slides pretty quick. Wouldn't be an Education Abroad presentation without mentioning scholarships that are available through our office. Many students think that the finances of going abroad may be a barrier to getting them to the experience. Our office does house several scholarships, and we have one common application that you can apply to those with. The deadlines for those scholarships often match your program application deadlines, as you can see listed here. And again, if you have more questions, you can find information about this on our website under the Scholarships and Access tab. All right, last but not least is the elephant in the room that we're all sick of talking about, COVID-19. As Marshall mentioned, we are cautiously optimistic about 2021 programs. The leadership in our office are making decisions about program cancellations about 2 to 4 months prior to departure. So right now it's a little early yet for 2021 programs. For you, it's important to understand, even if your program is able to run, it's good for you to know what your own risk tolerance is, and consider what the experience is going to be like, given that this pandemic will likely still be with us, even if borders are open next year. Things to consider, just that your travel around the country may be restricted. You may need to continue wearing masks. You may have to quarantine when you get there. All things that are totally surmountable, but things for you that are important for you to consider. Additionally, right now the details are being sorted out, but there may be financial considerations for you around COVID-19. Specifically, if you have to quarantine when you get to the country for 14 days, some countries may require that you do this, and it may come, you may have to pay for that out of pocket, and other countries may provide that through their government, and it just, we're not sure yet what that's going to look like, but it is something for you to consider. All right. I know we're right at time, but do we have any questions that I can help answer?
Drew, we have no remaining questions.
Great.
You did a fantastic job covering Oceania for us. And Marshall, thank you so much for your specific insight.
You bet.
And then
One little parting thought for those of you who are, since you're going to the Southern Hemisphere, one thing to pay attention to is what the calendar is that you have. And this is actually a really unique opportunity that you can do some traveling early and late that you won't typically find in other places. And of course, if you go in the spring semester, which is most dicey right now, with respect to our ability to plan, but boy, having that whole month of July to be able to travel in the summer in the Southern Hemisphere, I'll tell you what, there's no better treat that you can give yourself in life.
That's right. That's great. Thank you. I see a few questions have come in.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to answer Kennedy's, and I'll answer Victoria's by type?
I'm going to click out of this slideshow so that we can all see each other again. Let me just get back over. There we go.
So
right.
Kennedy's question is regarding pre-vet, is there a specific university that may work better than others?
Yep. For pre-vet, I would recommend actually looking at Lincoln University. It's a high chance you'll be able to find some coursework there, as well as the University of Tasmania over in Hobart, Australia. From there, it really depends on the courses that you need to take while you're abroad. So if you can find the semester, if you know your 4-year plan and you've identified a semester that you want to go, it's important for you to talk with your academic advisor to map out what specific classes you have to take during that semester. And then from there, I'm happy to work with you to find a program where we might be able to find those classes.
Massey will have good opportunities too in New Zealand.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, that is all our questions for now. We are just a little bit over time, so it's going to be time for us to wrap up. And I'll thank you, Lucas, for saying that this was amazing. Kudos to you, Drew and Marshall, for the information that you shared. And everybody, this fair is continuing for the next day and a half. You only have to register right before the session, so you still have plenty of time to register for any other sessions that fit in your schedule. You can feel free to schedule an appointment with Education Abroad Coordinator or the Financial Aid Coordinator for Education Abroad via our website, click About, and then contact Education Abroad. And you are scheduling your appointments via CSU's Navigate system. And that's new for us this semester. We're really excited that you can schedule on your own.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you from Michaela. All right, everyone, take care.
Thanks so much. Bye all.